Jeannie, and I come on here each and every week to help answer some garden questions. And I know today is Super Bowl Sunday, so I'm a little bit early this afternoon, but I thought I'd hop on just to be, totally here for you guys at home to see if there's any questions that need to be answered, kind of offer some advice this week as we head into, well, the second week of February as we're heading towards Valentine's Day as well. I'm here always to help you guide. And for those maybe joining for the first time saying, what the heck and who the heck is this guy? First off, this guy right here with the two thumbs, Frank Ferragini, aka Frankie Flowers. I am a 4-time best-selling garden author. You can see me Monday through Fridays on City TV's Breakfast Television, where I tell you the weather. I'm wild about weather, but passionate about plants. My family operates 2 garden centers, one in Barrie, one in Bradford, called Bradford Greenhouses Garden Gallery. As well, I have a lifetime experience in the world of gardening, and I'm here always to offer some advice and to kind of help you through this day and every day thereafter. So first and foremost, as we know, it's Valentine's Day that's coming up right around the corner. The most expensive rose, of course, heading into this week will be the red rose. I implore you maybe to think about buying something instead of a red rose, even though they're fantastic. A pot of orchids is always a great gift to give away, as well as even some tulips. Spring flowering tulips are generally locally grown, whereas many of the roses that you will be purchasing this next week will be from either Ecuador and or Colombia. They're the best roses. Some spray roses are locally grown. But if you get a chance, kind of seek out and look for locally grown flowers. There's nothing better than adding some color into a home. I know that flowers may not last that long. You're thinking, what of an expense? But just that bottle of wine as well. That bottle of wine doesn't last long as well. So just really get out there. Even a pot of Gerber daisies is a really good gift as well. There are different garden gifts that you can get, even to sprouts. We got MJ. Do you think it's safe to uncut the patio furniture yet, or should we wait for a real winter? Unbelievable record-breaking high temperatures that we had on Friday. Friday, driving in my car, I had a temperature of 16 degrees. 16 degrees on February the 9th. The record in Pearson for that day, 1938, 10.6. That's not right. That is not right. Is it worrisome? Yes, indeed. Is there anything you can do if your plants are popping out of the ground? Really, you need to let Mother Nature take its course. But right now, maple syrup sap is flowing because we have warm daytime temperatures over around 5 degrees. Been seeing some sunlight and a cooler night temperature. That is when the maple syrup sap flows. And that means as well, because the maple syrup sap is flowing, do not prune any fruit trees right now. Normally we could because they'd be in dormancy. Do not prune any maples. Really avoid pruning any deciduous trees at this time. I want to share a screen here, and I want to encourage you, if you get a chance, to hop over to frankieflowers.com. Frankieflowers.com is a website that I make sure that I provide some of the best advice that we can give out there. Been having several people out there asking questions about, what are these fruit flies in my plants? Those fruit flies in your plants are not fruit flies at all. As a matter of fact, they are fungus gnats. And so I wrote a little bit of a blog post here on how you can eliminate or reduce the population of fungus gnats inside your home. First and main thing is when it comes to fungus gnats, generally a sign that you're overwatering. Number one reason why people fail at indoor gardening is overwatering. Number one reason why you have fungus gnats is too moist of soil with decaying plant material. So cut back on the watering. And then also cinnamon is something that could be really great in terms of reducing the use. And if you want to find out more, frankieflowers.com. While you're on the website as well, scroll down and join the newsletter. That newsletter comes out select periods of time, but our next newsletter will be coming out in early spring, and that will be one that really gets you prepared for the upcoming season. If you want to ask a question, you can go into the comments and pop a question there. We got CJ that's asking, are we going to have more winter? I'll tell you in spring. But yes, we are going to have more winter. The upcoming week, we have overnight lows on average right around -5. Going to have daytime highs sit around -1, which is seasonal for this time of year. Will we have more dumpings of snow? Pretty likely. You can bet on that. Winter's almost half over, so it has been a light winter overall. Will we have cold weather on the way? Yes. If you haven't turned your water off, make sure that you turn your water off as well outdoors. So yes, we will. We got Joanne with a question here as well. Hi, Frankie. Just wanted to know that I brought my Boston fern in this winter. It's still doing amazing, which means you have good humidity in your home. I have in front of my basement walk of a sliding door facing west. I missed it every couple of days and don't water it too often. That's perfect key. So why is her fern doing so well? Maybe yours didn't. First and foremost, light. So she has it in a location that's facing west. West is generally afternoon light, where you're getting the bulk of the light throughout the day, or a south-facing window. Secondly, she's misting it every couple of days, increasing humidity. The reason why Boston ferns don't do well indoors during the winter is because our heaters are on more frequently. And because of that, we have a drier air mass inside our home. And by misting, you're increasing the humidity. And then as well, it's in front of her basement walk by the sliding door. So probably in the evening, it's getting a little bit cooler. Just make sure that if there's a heating vent, because generally by a sliding door, there will be a heating vent to block that vent that's there. We got missed it. I got it there, Joanne. I saw that too. We got Marianne. Happy to see you. Marianne, I'm happy to see you as well. Once again, I'm just hopping on here a little bit early because I know with Super Bowl, everybody's busy, lots going on. So this is my time that I can spend with you. Maggie, hi, Frankie. I would appreciate any help with Japanese beetles. I'm dreading the fight to protect my basil. So Japanese beetles, the June bug. The Japanese beetle is the adult stage, the beetle stage of a larvae known as a grub. So what we have to do is minimize the population of grubs to lessen the number and population of beetles. So grub, you're going to use Grub B Gone, and that will be used once we start to see some active growth outdoors in the spring. With Grub B Gone, you want to apply it down when the grass is wet, and then you want to reapply and water again, because we want that Bacillus thuringiensis, which is in the Grub B Gone, which is a bacteria, to go into the soil and infect the grubs and kill the grubs off. The other thing that you can do is there are pheromone traps that in season, if you have a lot of beetles around, you can use a pheromone trap, but that pheromone trap will attract other beetles from the area. So we need to put that pheromone trap far away from your basil so it'll go to the trap versus going to your basil. And then finally, there's Beetle B Gone, a pretty new product that's really good to use as well, so that if you see them on your plants, you apply with Beetle B Gone, and that'll reduce or eliminate some of the population that's there as well. But beetles have been a huge concern overall because, and this is a good thing also to kind of mention about this winter, you know, when we have colder temperatures, colding temperatures are really a killing temperature, and they really help cleanse things like insects and disease and reduce population. So when we don't have long periods of sub-zero, below -30 temperatures, this upcoming season, we could have higher insect populations and higher occurrence of disease. So there is a benefit to winter because winter is our cleanser as well. We got a question here. What is the color of the year of this year's flowers? So the color for this year is Pantone. I'm gonna look it up here for you. Pantone Fuzzy Peach. I'll do this and I will pull this up for you guys so you can see. So we're just going to go here and we're going to go visit. So this color of the year, and let me just go back over here. You guys are seeing me do this live. I'm a one-man show, dancing around, doing some things here. So this year, color of the year is called Fuzzy Peach, or Peach Fuzz, forgive me. It's a Pantone color of the year. And there's several different flowers that you will have that go into this. So what you're looking at here is a beautiful bouquet. This bouquet, for instance, would be something that would be amazing for Valentine's Day. You have a selection of, I can see some white peonies there. You probably wouldn't get this at Valentine's Day because peonies are not in season. But we have some of the peach ranunculus that are there. We have some carnations that are in the peach color as well. We also have some chrysanthemums that are in there. And we have some stalks, and we also have some lovely snapdragons. So that's a beautiful bouquet that's there. But we can see that this year's color of the year is one that's, you know, really something that is happy and fun. So it's giving some, in terms of cut flowers, it's saying peach straw flower, peach carnations, lisianthus. You can use some tulips, bearded irises. You have pastel elegans peonies, Madame Butterfly snapdragons, and anthurium. I will say that if you're interested in things like this, that in my last newsletter, we did send out a whole different color guide for some of the flowers that you can grow in your garden that represents this year's color of the year, which is peach fuzz. So there's some ones that are out there. We got Danielle that's saying, Danny, forgive me, Danny, sorry about that. Shout out for Huntsville and scared of this winter weather and flooding will get poor gardens. Yeah, a lot of people are really kind of scared as well. We got Paula. Paula saying, I brought in my geraniums for overwintering. It bloomed last winter inside, but no blooms at all this winter. Any help would be appreciated. Thanks. This winter, if you're wondering why compared to last winter, you maybe had more bloom production versus this winter, is it's been great. Actually, as a matter of fact, January was one of the grayest Januaries we've ever seen on record. So that lack of sunlight doesn't allow that plant or want that plant to produce flowers. Now that we have seen some sun during the month of February, you may get some flower production. And now that our days are getting longer, I wouldn't be concerned whatsoever. We got Susan Rose, which is asking a question. Hi, just wondering if you know that Canada Blooms will be at the home show in March. It will not. Canada Blooms is no longer partnering with the home show. And right now, Canada Blooms needs to find a home, and that's being worked on at this current time. There will be some elements at the home show, including myself speaking, that will have some landscape and gardening involved as well. Lori Smith saying, very pretty colors. Indeed, they are very, very pretty colors. We got Linda. Linda, we've had squirrels looking for places to sharpen their teeth. Wood windowsills. Neighbors soffit. Is it because of the mild winter? Never had issues within 3 years in this house. They had our Christmas lights, wires, bulbs, big cedars and whatnot. So there's something that you can do. You can spray something called Animal Begone. Animal Begone, if we spray it on those areas, it has a Vitrix, so it gives a really bad residual taste. So that can sometimes discourage them from going to other areas. Why are they sharpening their teeth on these items? I don't know really why. This is kind of abnormal. Generally, they're looking for a food source that's out there. So they're looking, and I'm just going to look at something really quickly here. Why are squirrels sharpening teeth on wood? Okay, the animals aren't actually eating the decking. They're gnawing it to wear down their teeth, which grow constantly. Wood is relatively soft and becomes even more when it absorbs moisture. So if given the choice between wood and composite, they'll probably prefer wood, and they like wood that is moist. So we've had a moist year that's overall. And so what they're doing is they're just stalling down their teeth. So the other part too that we can do is you're going to replace maybe those later on with some composite, or as I mentioned, Animal Begone would be really, really beneficial for you. That's there as well. We got Jessica. I want to purchase an AeroGarden. What model do you have, Frank? That's a good question. I have the mid-size model. There's a small, a mid-size, and a large. I have the mid-size one. I'll look it up and I'll make sure that I post it because it's doing so well. Actually, what I'll do is on my Facebook page, I'll take some pictures of my current AeroGarden right after this, maybe within a half an hour, and I'll post the model that I have on there as well. We got Lena. I have transferred my 2 snake plants into bigger pots as they are falling over. What is the best soil to use? Miracle-Gro potting soil is the one to use with those. You don't need a cacti soil with the snake plants. I don't have a green thumb. I'm surprised I've been able to keep these plants going, LOL. Sansevieria, which is a snake plant, is a super easy plant. Not to say, but allowing it to be on the dry side is what is really beneficial for you. Using just a good quality potting soil, but most importantly, the pots that you're potting into need to have drainage. So if there's no drainage holes within, you will want to put some stone in the base. That stone in the base will be an area where the plants can sit out of water and the water can sit. So my recommendation is always to have a pot with drainage, which is really key. And there you go. So once again, Miracle-Gro potting soil is a premium potting soil. That is really good. We got another question. Hi, I bought basil plant and transferred it into a bigger pot, lots of soil. I just noticed little caterpillars in the soil. Yikes. It's been thriving since the beginning of December. What should I do? Replant it. Those little caterpillars that are in the soil are usually there because of moisture. So cut back on the watering is really key. I would really love to see what these things are. So if you can send me a picture of them, Jackie, to Frankie@frankieflowers.com, Frankie@frankieflowers.com. I feel this, you probably lose the basil. You may want to, if you see this population and grow a little bit, you may want to discard that basil plant, put it into cut as much basil off. I would then put it into a bullet, like a blender, blend all that basil right down. You could freeze it into little cubes, and you can use the fresh basil in cubes, Robinson cubes into tomato sauce and things like that. Are you watching the huge Usher concert tonight? Danny, I'm a big fan of Usher, by the way. So I will be watching. I'm actually going right after this, later this afternoon, to a really good friend's place. The group of people I'll be watching Super Bowl with are the group of people that I've known since I've been 10 years of age, which is great. My hockey crew, the crew of boys. Hi, Frankie. What's the best way to take care of amaryllis once it's done? Thank you from Alberta. The amaryllis, right? So the amaryllis blooms, boom, the bloom finishes. You have that stalk. We cut that stalk off. Then all of a sudden these leaves pop out. Boom, boom, boom. These leaves, we continue to water and fertilize until those leaves start to yellow. Once they yellow, we cut off the leaves. We take the bulb, allow the soil to dry on it. We dust it off. And then we can either take some shredded newspaper or even some dry sawdust, put the bulb in, like, let's say that we had a shoebox cellar or a cool, dark space that doesn't go below freezing. That's where you store your amaryllis. What you'll do is in October or even mid-October to November is you'll pull it out next season. You'll replant the amaryllis, only covering the bottom third with soil, and boom. So those leaves that are growing there right now are the ones that put energy for the bulb for next season. So I hope that helped you as well. I'm going to write that down, that we got to do an amaryllis blog too. You guys are giving me ideas for content. Thank you, amaryllis blog. So then that way we can give you some ideas about there. Hi, Frankie. My gardenia is losing all its leaves and the buds just keep drying out. Also, my other houseplants have browning of leaves. Is this fungus? Thanks for your help. I would guess that's probably a lack of humidity, especially with gardenia. Gardenia love humid environments. So adding a humidifier to the room that they're in. Tip burn, brown burn, could be either from overwatering or underwatering. But it'd be great if you can send me a photo. But misting the plants will be of great benefit, but still allowing the dry out in between waterings is key. So if you're letting it sit too wet, those are another reason why you get leaf drop. Lack of humidity is a reason for leaf drop. Lack of light, a reason for leaf drop. Tip burn, generally caused by a lack of humidity inside the home. What vegetable seeds are good to start now? Asked Kelly. None. We're too early. Tomatoes, peppers, they're 6 to 8 weeks before last frost date. Peas, for instance, will germinate within 24 hours to 36 hours. So we really shouldn't be starting any of those vegetable seeds until the end of February, beginning of March. And the first ones that you'll start out of all your vegetable seeds are tomatoes and peppers and some perennial herbs like mint, if you're growing mint by seed, or thyme by seed. So those are the ones that are there. We got Jessica that says, thank you. Thank you as well to you. We got a shout out here too. Marianne, which is saying Scott's Miracle-Gro is the best. I got a nice little, that's a nice snake plant. Right now, just so you know, surrounding me is I have right there is a pothos, Swiss cheese. That's just some cuttings that are in water that are just sitting there. I also have a little jade plant that always sits beside me because jade is about prosperity. And so I like to have prosperity at my work desk, hopefully that I prosper more. And then I have my snake plant, which is also known as mother-in-law's tongue. Why do they call snake plant mother-in-law's tongue? Because it'll never die, just like your mother-in-law's tongue. We got Linda. Thank you. We put bygone on, but wears away after it snows around. Yeah, the animal will be gone. Tall cedar trees behind us have no pine cones. Why? What will the squirrels would eat? So sometimes to keep squirrels occupied is you can put a squirrel feeder out. And there are different squirrel feeders, so they'll actually leave everything else alone. So sometimes if you can't beat them, you feed them. And as well, Animal Be Gone does wash away with the rain, so you do have to reapply. So you can get a squirrel feeder. Squirrels will eat peanuts. They'll eat, even if you were to get dried corn. So you can buy it online or even go to your local farm store. Even your local birding store will have dried corn, which is the cow corn. And you can get it on a spindle. So you can attach all the cobs on a spindle and it's really fun to watch. You'll see the squirrels will go and try to grab it. It keeps them busy. And all of a sudden they stay away from your stuff, which is really good. That's out there too. We got Tracy Reynolds, which is saying, go Chiefs. I'm cheering for San Fran. I'm not a big football knowledgeable guy, but Chiefs have won enough. Love Taylor Swift. I just don't think she deserves, well, she does deserve all the attention in the world, but I'm going for San Fran. Hi, Frankie. What are your thoughts on using perlite to start seeds and Rugosa Rose cuttings at this time of year. So perlite is what is the white little pellets that you see in your soil. Perlite's for drainage. For starting seeds at this time of year, you want to use a seed starting soil or a seed starting mix. And a mix will obviously also have a little bit of perlite within it for drainage, but generally that mix of soil will have things like peat moss, which is loam that's within there, mixed in with a little bit of soil as well. So what I would do is, to be really successful, is get a seed starting mix that's already pre-mixed for you. Just you don't want to use too much perlite because you don't want to create too much drainage. For rugosa, the cuttings at this time of year, you can actually just have them root inside perlite because that'll leave a little bit of space that's out there. You can do it as a stem cutting. You can actually do it as an air layering if you want to, or you can just be rooting that in water as well. So those are some things that are there. We got Jackie who's saying, thank you for answering the question on basil. We got Marianne, which is saying 49ers all the way. Go San Fran. Tracy, which is saying, my fave is amaryllis, one of my top sellers through the holidays. Yeah, amaryllis is a sexy looking plant. I think it's kind of phallic too, by the way. We got a hi, Frankie Flowers from Oakville. Sabatia, hello, how are you? Do you think it'll be a wet spring? The way that we've been seeing a lot of these streams of moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico due to the weather pattern that we're seeing with the jet stream, if I was to guess, I think it would be a fairly wet spring, but that jet stream will change a lot. So if the jet stream moves, it's too early to determine. But if I was to bet on it, I would bet on a wet spring this year. It's already wet, by the way. How can I start Walla Walla onions indoors? Or can I start my Walla Walla onions indoors yet? I wouldn't as of yet. I'd be waiting until, for those guys, mid-March for those guys. We got to have a great time watching the Super Bowl. I won't watch the full game because I got to go to bed, by the way. Jessica, is warm or cold most recommended for indoor tropical plants, or does it matter? What's really important for an indoor tropical plant is that we have a cooler evening temperature. So they're in a room that's basically comfortable for us, will be comfortable for a tropical plant, but having a slightly cooler evening temperature puts them into more of a rest period overnight. That really creates a healthier plant. That's overall. The number one thing is not overwatering your indoor plants. Please allow them to dry out. I can't stress enough. Please, please, please allow them to dry out in between watering. We got Tracy, that's Team Taylor. Okay. You got to respect her, man. You got to respect her. Can you purchase worm compost? Yes, you can. Many local garden centers, many local independent garden centers will be selling worm compost. There's some locally produced as well. So yeah, you can for sure. We got another question here. What can I add to veggie garden soil that is heavy with clay? Veggie garden. So if you have a heavy clay soil that you're trying to grow your veggies into, you can either add gypsum that will actually help with the amendment of that soil, or you want to add a little bit of sand. But generally with a heavy wet clay, what I would recommend is building a raised garden on top of it than trying to improve the clay. So building a raised bed on top and then filling that with a good quality or organic mixture of soil, like a triple mix, is better than trying to amend or improve the heavy wet clay. So instead of trying to dig out or amend, build on top, which is really good. We got a question here as well, or a comment. Thanks, Frankie. We'll add the humidifier. That humidifier will benefit your plants and also will benefit you overall. We got another early to bed tonight, Tracy, because she's getting ready for Valentine's Day. She is a florist, and florists this week will be very, 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 very busy. Michelle's saying you're early. I'm early because it's Super Bowl tonight. And I know people will be busy that are out there too. We got a shout out today from Portugal. Love your garden show. Thanks for joining us too. It's always good to see those shout outs that are out there as well. And we got, thank you for sharing your knowledge that's there. We got another question here about a perennial, which is a blanket flower in the spring. Can I split a common blanket flower in the spring? Yes. What you'll see with the blanket flower as well is where it's dropping its seeds. You actually, in mid-spring, you'll start to see a little bit of germination of some smaller blanket flowers that are there. You can actually replant those and then use that to spread out. The blanket flower will not lose its flowers by splitting in spring as well. So we are sitting, what time is it, by the way? We're at 3:30. Okay, I'm going to stay on here for a little bit longer. There's a couple other things that I want to talk to you about. So Spring flowering bulbs. Right now, I'm just starting to see some potted tulips and some potted daffodils and hyacinths. Just a reminder that those guys can grow quite quickly indoors. So if you do purchase them and you're thinking that you want them to last longer, the cooler a room is, or the less sunlight they'll receive, the longer they will last. If you have it in a warm room with lots of sun and lots of light, they'll go through their cycle. For cut tulips, when you're cutting tulips and you're putting them into a vase, make sure that you cut them a little bit shorter than what you're like, wow, they look really short in that vase. Because what happens is they will grow. So they will grow once placed in water and cut. So you always want to cut your tulips a little bit shorter. They're out there. Spring flowering bulbs. After you have a tulip indoors and we forced it, can you replant them? They don't tend to rebound back. I would rather you put those into the compost. The only bulb that will perform after you enjoy indoors and maybe you want to plant back in the garden are daffodils. But in order to have those bulbs have some energy, you need to, after they're done their bloom period, still water and feed those bulbs until the green on them, the leaves on them, turns yellow. That'll feed the bulbs. And then once frost is gone, you can plant those in the garden outdoors. We got a thank you out there as well for this evening. We got the purchase of that. I'm just going to go down here. We got another little recommendation, using cut tulips and hyacinths in my Valentine's Day flowers. They're beautiful, guys. Like, really, there's nothing nicer than that's out there. We got another question here about jade. How often you water your indoor jade? Mine is much smaller and really sad. So this guy here, I water him, in all honesty, during the winter, once a month. That's it. And when I water, I always make sure that I pull it out and I look to see that the base of that other pot, you can see how it's in a grower pot, there's no water sitting there. Okay. So, and then like right now I can feel it. I can feel the soil is moist. So I'm not going to water that guy. So yeah, I'm only watering him once a month. So jade plants like to be pot bound, meaning they like to be in a tight pot. So you don't repot that often. And they really like drying out in between waterings. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys, for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed my little chat that was there. I hope I added some advice for you. You can join me every Sunday at 7 generally, but because today is Super Bowl Sunday, I didn't want to take viewers off the Super Bowl because I know they would join me instead of watching the Super Bowl, instead of watching Super Bowl halftime. So I thought I'd sacrifice, and I didn't want the Super Bowl competing with me. So that's why I came on early. If you have any questions, I'll always go to frankieflowers.com. I encourage you to go to frankieflowers.com and go to the bottom of the website and join the newsletter. There's lots of information, good value that comes to you. Sometimes there's even some special pricing and deals that will come to you. You can email me anytime at frankieflowers.com, and you can email me frankie@frankieflowers.com. And once again, you can see me Monday through Fridays live on Breakfast Television starting at 6 a.m. I want you guys to have a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy the Super Bowl. If you're going to go out and drink responsibly, and make sure you have a designated driver, and everybody be safe. And right now, as we always say, ciao for now.